Welcome back. Today, we're diving into an explainer that is an absolute wild ride. We are unpacking a gripping narrative that completely flips everything you know about classic horror right on its head. Picture the lonely, fog-drenched stretches of Highway NH-24. We're going to break down this terrifying tale of deception and survival, but specifically, we'll be looking at how the power dynamics constantly shift. It is a completely suspenseful story, so let's jump right in.
So, what happens when a hunter becomes the hunted? Well, this isn't just some abstract philosophical thought experiment. It's actually the absolute core engine driving the entire story. Throughout this explainer, we're exploring the ultimate theme of karmic irony. In this universe, it feels like every single trap has a hidden trapdoor right underneath it. Just when a character, and honestly us as the audience, thinks they're totally in control, the floor completely drops out.
I mean, just look at this quote. Some nights aren't just nights. They are a trap. This brilliant opening line perfectly sets that eerie, suffocating atmosphere. It immediately signals to us that nothing is as it seems. We aren't just reading a simple, spooky campfire story. We are watching a meticulously laid trap unfold. When you're told the night is actively waiting to consume someone, you instantly know you have to question the motives of literally every single character. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Night, Fog, and Mystery. Okay, so the story places us right on NH-24. It is pitch black out there, dead quiet, completely empty. Out of nowhere, a woman named Radha flags down a passing truck driven by a guy named Dev. She is desperate, begging for a ride to the city and giving him this incredibly dramatic, chilling backstory. She claims she's literally running from death, leaving behind a home that is now nothing but ashes and screams. She just wants to get away. Now, if you were a driver alone on a dark highway, these are massive, glowing red flags, right? Let's look at how this plays out. First, Radha hitches the ride. Second, Dev naturally starts getting suspicious because the silence stretches on and her words are just getting increasingly morbid. And third, Radha actively initiates psychological warfare. She doesn't even try to comfort him, she actually leans into his growing fear. The author is brilliantly using these classic horror tropes to make us think, oh, we're definitely just watching a naive truck driver pick up a cursed spirit.
Which brings us to Section 2. Who's hunter, who's hunted?
As the tension inside that truck cabin hits a total boiling point, Radha turns to Dev with a terrifying smile and asks, "Do you think I am a ghost, driver?" It's so creepy. She leans heavily into the local lore of cursed highways, deliberately terrifying Dev by reminding him that the things wandering this road at night are rarely human, and she tells him ghosts never leave their prey. It works like a charm. Dev is absolutely terrified, slams on the brakes at a checkpoint, and literally runs for his life into the dark woods.
So Dev bails on his own truck. Radha, echoing with this creepy laughter, actively stalks him through the trees. Dev finally finds a tiny abandoned wooden shed and cowers under a bench inside. When Radha finds him, she's covered in dark mud, looking absolutely demonic. Dev whips out a holy metal amulet. You know, your classic, foolproof defense against the supernatural. He's begging her to stay away. And right here, the story has us hook, line, and sinker. We are completely convinced Radha is a vengeful spirit hunting this poor, innocent guy.
But brace yourselves for Section 3, Dev's real terrifying form.
Think about this contrast for a second. Radha's whole terrifying persona relies completely on psychological tricks, vague threats, and spooky highway legends. But Dev? When she confronts him and he has that holy amulet, he doesn't cower. Instead, this terrible stench of rotting meat suddenly fills the air. Dev casually throws the holy amulet away, basically revealing that he's not afraid of ghosts because he is a literal monster. He physically transforms right in front of her. His skin turns green, his eyes go completely white, and he casually mentions that his village is very hungry for fresh meat.
And boom, this brings us to the actual thread of the story, the Adhamara. These are not traditional folklore spirits. They are actual humans who are mutated by a massive chemical blast in a nearby village, turning them into super strong flesh-eating zombies. The author completely played us. We just pivoted from a supernatural ghost story straight into biological sci-fi horror. The holy amulet didn't work because Dev isn't a ghost. He is a radioactive mutated cannibal.
Let's keep the momentum going with Section 4, Radha's real intention.
As Dev attacks, we get this incredibly chaotic survival sequence. Radha barely escapes the shed and sprints back to the truck, locking herself inside. But Dev breaks in. She desperately fights him off with an iron rod.
jamming it into the gears, which violently crashes the truck into a boulder and knocks Dev out. Rada survives, runs down the road, and calls her friend Serby for help. But right in the middle of the call, she gets violently struck by a passing car, only to be, quote-unquote, rescued by the female driver. Talk about breakneck pacing.
I want to pause on that phone call for a second, though, because it completely shatters everything we thought we knew. During that frantic call to Serby, Rada complains that she was just trying to trap a driver to extort money, but accidentally picked up a real monster. The grim reality? Rada is a scammer. She fakes being a ghost on lonely highways to rob people. Which means, from the very first second in that truck, both characters were predators looking for a victim. It is a brilliant, brilliant double subversion.
And that takes us right into our final act. Section 5. The Final Journey of Death.
Fleeing one monster only to step into the trap of another, Rada is badly injured from the car strike, sitting in the passenger seat next to the woman who is rushing her to safety. But she looks out the window, realizes they are definitely not heading toward the city, and the panic sets in. She urgently warns the female driver to speed up and get them out of there because of the chemical blast mutants lurking around.
So the driver acts totally naive and asks Rada, what do these monsters look like? In a devastating display of dramatic irony, Rada details the Admaras. She describes their green skin, their terrifying scars, their super strength. She is desperately trying to warn her savior, totally unknowingly describing the exact monster sitting right next to her. By the time she questions the route, the trap has already snapped shut.
The climax hits right here. The woman turns her head towards Rada, revealing she is also an Admara. She attacks instantly, killing Rada right there inside the moving car. It brings the story's brutal theme of karma full circle in the craziest way. Rada, a fake predator who preys on the fears of innocent people, is ultimately consumed by a genuine predator who used the guise of a helpful savior to lure her in. The very trickery she used as a weapon became the instrument of her own demise.
So, I want to leave you all with this final, lingering question. When you are playing a trick yourself, how do you know you aren't just part of someone else's trick? This narrative is just the perfect illustration of karmic punishment, a fake predator swallowed whole by a world of real ones. It completely dismantles our expectations with these insane shifting power dynamics and genre-bending twists. What a phenomenal piece of storytelling. I hope this explainer gave you a totally fresh perspective on how narratives can manipulate both characters and audiences alike. Always question what you see out there, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.